Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on the journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney West
and Kelly Arundel.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Sydney.
How are you?
I'm doing
well. So I got, for those on YouTube that could see, I got my hair trimmed.
Yes, you did.
Help with my curls and stuff.
Yeah.
Be a little lighter.
Your natural.
My natural curls. Well, natural since puberty. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Totally straight, and then hit puberty, and it's like curly.
It was like, what is going on?
I know, and you didn't know what to do because your hair is totally straight.
Yes.
So it's so weird. So I feel like the only time people notice you got a haircut, at least for women, is if you, one, go shorter. They notice, oh, you're short.
Yeah, a lot shorter.
Yeah. Two, if like they see you the day of and your hair looks awesome because the hairstylist
did it.
You know?
Yes.
And it's like...
Or if you get color.
Yeah, or you get some new color. Yeah. And I feel like it's hard because like you made the decision to grow your hair out.
Yeah.
What? Like 6 months, a year ago? A long time.
COVID time. 6 months. See
how
well you notice?
No, I'm just
yes,
saying
it did.
that
it
amplifies
right
my
after,
point.
Because you didn't notice.
No, I knew it was. You told me that you were getting it longer,
how long it was.
But it takes that long, and so like whenever you make the decision to grow your hair out, no one really knows because it takes so long to grow it out. And it's only like the people that you see periodically that they might notice. But like, it is and growing your hair out is way harder than just like getting it cut.
Yeah, because you have to get the layers,
and then the awkward stage. You still have to go get it trimmed because you got to get the dead ends off. Yeah, and also like growing your hair out is a much, I think, more difficult thing to do as well. And like go to the hairstylist and be like, yeah, just take off like half an inch.
Yeah,
and
if that.
If that. It's like nobody's gonna know I even came in today.
No, except for that they do it nicely.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's the only way you notice. Yeah. So that was my thoughts on
your thoughts on haircuts.
On haircuts, at least from a woman's perspective.
When Charles got his cut, everybody noticed because it had been so long, and it was.
He got like 2 inches off.
He got a little boy cut.
He did. He got a little boy cut. It's cute.
You gotta admit.
It is, but again, he got a drastic change.
And everybody
noticed.
That's true.
You know. But when he was growing his hair out, not as many people just coming in with long hair if they didn't really know him.
Right.
But otherwise, it's like
that's the way
he's got long hair. So
hair is hair.
Hair is hair, and it can grow out. And
sometimes.
And if you are growing your hair out, maybe you just tell people, I'm growing my hair longer. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it looks like crud because I'm growing it out.
You always have that awkward phase,
yes,
you know?
Very. Still is, but you know.
Yes. So that's my comment on my recent thoughts on haircuts.
Okay.
Now.
Little thoughts.
Now we're going to continue on. It's our last episode in our voice series. So we had these last 2 episodes focused on the book Crucial Conversations, which we definitely encourage everybody to get. And talked a lot about a big thing it seemed was knowing your story. So becoming very clear and then start with the heart. Start with the heart.
What are you really going
and then knowing your story and really going through that. And then the other big thing that I just always remember from Dad is would a reasonable, rational person say it like this? Yes. Why would a reasonable, rational person?
Right. So you look behind what's going on with them.
Yes.
Something's threatened. Something's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And so those are kind of the big takeaways. And so whenever it comes to starting, I think we're kind of wrapping it up a little bit in a spiritual sense, but also just in a person sense. It doesn't have to be spiritual the way that we're kind of approaching it, I feel like, but definitely a spiritual sense of now we're talking about your inner voice. So we've talked a lot, last couple weeks about speaking, how you talk to others, your outside in the world voice. Now we're talking about our inner voice because that guides how you talk to people.
It does.
And And I think with the crucial conversations, it's start from the heart. Know your story. You have to have a good sound inner voice, I think, in order to do that type of work.
Yeah.
So, starting from the beginning, what does inner voice mean?
Well, for me,
Yeah.
inner voice is my deep down knowing voice. It doesn't necessarily... Sometimes I do really not hear the voice in my head, but it's something that I can't ignore. It's not analyzing a situation in that, okay, if I do this, I do that. If I speed, then the consequences may be a ticket. That's this voice. That's a rational,
head voice.
logical consequence. That's a different voice. I'm talking about the deep knowing voice of maybe career decisions, relationship decisions, moving through life, finding joy. I mean, it's that deep voice of knowing this may not sound logical to anybody. I may not even be able to tell you the reason I'm going to go forward with this move or this what I'm doing, but I feel led within myself to get involved in this or to do this or to back out of this. Whatever that may be, it is so deep.
Yeah.
And we have to practice that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I think of that. That's what I think
voice.
that inner voice is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how many competing voices do you think we have? I'm sure some people can have like 100. But, I feel like we have the inner voice.
We have our inner voice. But that one you really have to cultivate and listen to. Everybody, I believe, has a knowing voice within your soul. You just have it. I have come to ignore it sometimes because of parental things going on, right? My parents, they would not agree, that type of thing.
Yeah.
There's society.
Yeah.
I will certainly look different if I do this. There's religion. There are, the voices of ought to and not to and dogma and all that kind of thing. Even though it may be really not what my inner voice thinks or believes. There may be a spousal one.
Yeah.
There is a sibling one. There is the little kid that got squashed and laughed at voice. There is the brave one. You do this. There's the rebel voice. Do it.
Yeah.
And so,
there's so many.
Those are just rattling off.
There's so. I agree. I feel like there's so many different types. So, okay, I'm bringing a book in this time.
All right.
This is one that you gave me though, so I can't take full credit. This book, Celebrate Yourself. 2 words. Yourself. Enhancing Your Own Self-Esteem. Dorothy Briggs. So, she writes, and it's all about, building your self-esteem, your own sense of self. And she kind of points out, kind of general, but that you have kind of 2 different voices from your childhood. Your natural child, which I think is more connected to that natural inner self. Then you have your not okay child that received all this pain and is kind of a victim. Then you have 2 different types of parent voices. You've got your critical parent. So the one, don't do this, don't do that. You're gonna wear pain. That. Yes, exactly. Gives pain. Then you have your nurturing parent. That is like, it's okay. Yeah. Like you're a child, or like be yourself, feel what you want to feel. And then that earlier voice you were talking about that's in your head, like making decisions, just general world. That's your like general adult voice, a very chooser. So you do have that. But those are kind of the voices that she lays out. And then you do have your real you in there. But the big thing is that real you and that adult, like what are you going to let in more? Are you going to let in more of are you going to listen to more of your not okay child and your critical parent, all that negative? Or are you going to go with your natural child and your nurturing parent to create like this more true sense of the real you? And it's all about what you choose to listen to. And And the whole book is about how do you turn these phrases that you tell yourself all the time, spin it into something that's gentler, spin it into something that's more positive, and take away those shoulds, oughts,
Yes, and say, I wish I had, I hope I can.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that.
So that's like, I'm still not done with it, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
using a lot right now for,
I
my
like
inner
that.
voice.
And one of the things that, when you were talking about that, the child, the
Natural
the
and the not okay.
For me, and I've done some stuff with
Yeah.
that in the past, it's when I look back, and I'm grinning right now, if you know, because when I think of that child that I just love,
Yeah.
silly child, spontaneous,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
want, that's the one I want to
Yes.
live with
Yes.
and be with and let come out
Yeah.
of my adult self as
Yeah.
well.
Definitely.
And I think of that, the one that would take a risk, the one.
And then you can have the nurturing parent voice in there too. I mean, because children will say and do things that are compulsive, and,
Yes.
in general society.
Yes.
But that's okay. And you can have the nurturing parent there to more positively speak to you. It's like, okay, yeah, baby, that didn't turn out how you want. Okay, let's look into the future and think about how to make it okay and all,
Right, rather than crushing the spirit.
Yes, rather than just being like, wow, that was
Yeah.
horrible. You really embarrassed yourself. You're, all that stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
So
that.
that's kind of like
And
my
that
little inner
book
voice.
is an older book, but it speaks and is so relevant
Yes, it
to
is.
today. I love books that can do that.
Yeah, it really can.
Yeah.
So I have some other questions. Do you want to? Okay.
Go ahead and let me. We'll see what I answer. Right.
Yes. So what do you have any examples of like you yourself searching for your inner voice? Like, do you have any times you're like, yeah, I really used it, or oh, I should have listened? I don't know, just examples.
Yes, I have both. There have been jobs that I have taken that I knew, my inner voice knew this was not a fit.
Man,
This isn't for you, Kelly.
but you do.
But I just want this job. I just need to get this job. I need to do something. And so I jumped into a job, and I don't think too many people were harmed. I don't think it, but it wasn't a fit.
Yeah.
And it didn't last that long. And it was within a church, and it just, it was so hard, and I was never really happy with it.
Yeah.
And that I just knew.
Yeah.
And I knew jumping in that wasn't it. And so that's one where I knew.
In like retrospect, you're like, oh, I should have. Yeah.
And even when I was
Even in
doing
it, yeah.
and that's what's weird is when you just do anyway.
Yes.
But I think, oh, maybe I can make it fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
do you have a positive one?
Well, yeah, I think one of the knowing was when I started the two things. We moved to Tennessee, and I did for the first time was not working. And I remember sitting there going, well, who are you?
Yeah.
When people say, what do you do? What do you answer?
Yeah.
And that was really hard. That was a sitting and knowing, who are you? I had to really sit by myself.
That's scary.
Number one, I didn't know people.
Yeah.
And I was kind of looking for a job, but I wasn't, there weren't a lot in the realm of what I was doing there. And so I waited and waited. It was an awful time in my life for that. And trying to get y'all settled.
Yes.
That thankfully was a diversion, but
yeah.
That was a hard time, and I don't really have an answer for what happened, except for it was really good to sit with myself, as painful as it was, to go, okay, who are you without these job titles or
and we were in school, so you weren't doing
what do you do? How do you fill your time? What do you? So I thought, this is a time of self growth, and so there was that, and then when I was here, not several years ago, going, there's a hole. You need to play. You need to do something different. And that's when
the improv, right?
And I just kind of waited. And so,
And sometimes listening to the inner voice, is definitely waiting.
It's waiting.
Sometimes,
And going, and even recently, so, my dad, with his stuff, I used to go to Denton a lot with my mom when she was.
Yeah.
But my brother and sister-in-law are there, and I think, it's okay that you don't rush down there all the time.
Yeah.
It's okay. And that was listening to my inner voice to go, are you doing it out of guilt? Are you doing, why are you doing it? If everything's okay,
Yeah.
listen deep.
Yeah.
Is it necessary?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a logical one. This was a deep one.
Yeah. Do you think like feeling and hearing that inner voice, like, do you think that sensation is the same for everybody or does it differ?
I can't answer that.
I know.
This is why. This is a good example.
Okay.
So we were on, when you were doing college tours.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would visit a campus. Mm-hmm. And I would say to you,
What's
your gut
thing?
feeling?
Oh
What's your gut telling you about this
The
school?
most
And
annoying question.
You looked at me like I was from
Crazy.
another planet. And you said, what?
Why do I care about that?
You know, and so when we went home, I told Paul, I said, well, I guess you need to talk to her about making choices because I know the feeling when things are right and when they're not. But I'm not going to tell her where to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not mine.
Right.
And so but
funny.
I don't know. Some people, now I am a very gut person. I feel it in my gut.
Yeah.
Some people may feel it up here in their throat. Some people may just get an uneasiness.
Yeah.
You know, when things are wrong, I'll get a knot in my stomach. When they're right, sometimes I get tears in my eyes when I know this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is good. And I can't explain why. But I go, okay, just listen to that and don't cry, you know. But
and I feel like the way you learn what it is for you is like as you go through life and make decisions and have these situations that come up and stuff, like what is consistent for you? Like I feel it a lot, like if it's not good, I do feel it a lot like in my stomach, and I will literally know it's just physical symptoms of me being nauseous and like not good. Or I'll get really tired. I'll feel so tired. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I think that's the emotional tiredness of the situation. I mean, it's like, okay, well, how do I, it's like the way to fix it is to be in a different situation. Yes. And then when it's good, I'll generally it's like that deep, like joy thing. I don't get tears because, you know, I don't cry.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I do cry, but I'm public. But it's like you just get this deep joy thing, or you just feel like that you're able to fully relax somewhere and like let go and just feel that lightness.
Yes.
And so it's like, I think the feelings probably are similar. Like I think your stomach doesn't feel hurt because you're feeling good.
There's a reason people get ulcers.
Exactly.
There's many, but
but
sometimes
stress
it is
can be a thing for sure. And so I think there are probably some similarities, but I think where we feel it and how intensely and all that, it can vary. And so you kind of just have to find it for yourself.
You do, and it's kind of a practice of noticing. Oh, I felt uneasy, but I did this anyway, and this is what. Or I feel so at peace. Even in the hard decisions that don't bring happiness.
Right.
That don't bring, now it's all good. No,
but there's
there is a peace.
Yeah.
I can remember a time, and I can't share that exact, but I can remember a time that was one of the most difficult in my life. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking out, and I was literally in tears, almost on the ground. And there was this peace within going, but this is part of life, Kelly. This is part of life, and this is for a good reason. Peace comes.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to explain. And that's the thing. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah. Because it's different for everybody.
But it does. Yeah. There is practice. And I truly believe it is within.
Yeah. Oh, it's
within all of us.
And speaking of practice.
Yes.
What are some practices for us to like find our own inner voice? Like what are I know, and honestly, we've probably touched on a lot of them throughout the podcast already, but this can be a good recap time. It's been a while since we've talked about some of them, so this can be a good recap time for us.
Well, one is, and I'll use this term again, a form of meditation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quiet. It's amazing how many people do not want quiet. Yeah. Do not want meditation. Because it is hard. It's you being with you and your thoughts. But if we can come to go, that's my thought. Yeah. That's not really all I am.
Can I add in a funny thing? I think those people that don't like quiet, we need to just put them in a room with at least 2 to 3 toddlers for an hour. And then I think everybody's going to want quiet.
Do you know what? I was thinking the other day, I don't know why, it was like, I guess Charles was nonstop and everybody else in the house was nonstop, and there was just noise. And I thought, maybe this is why people go on those month-long silent retreats. I've never had that great desire.
That is so good.
And that passed too,
Yes,
but it was like,
but still,
that's why there's
right.
chaos.
Sorry.
But,
that's
so,
my
yeah.
little funny thing. But it is hard
true.
to say. But you can be sitting in quiet, but you could be on your phone, and that's not really quiet.
I mean,
you know?
by yourself, taking a walk without headphones is a big thing, right? So it doesn't have to be sitting still, but a quiet. People, runners, long distance, not my type, but even I get it, and the runs that I do, I go into a different space.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's journaling,
Yeah.
and I mean just writing without thinking it.
Yes.
Just writing and not
Whatever.
worrying about how it looks like, nothing. Because eventually, the more you do that, something
It'll
comes out
come.
of it. It's kind of
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I've done that before too. Yeah.
This is what I do, and I did this. I think I learned it when I was in Tennessee that time. I created a space within me called a holding space. And it's just this space where when I'm needing to make a decision or something is happening and I'm not sure what, I imagine this little space within me that I hold it. And you don't have to act on anything.
You can just sit
So
there.
you're not acting. This is your holding space of the uneasiness, of the question, of whatever. And it just sits there. I don't ponder it all day.
No.
But I go back to it.
That's cool.
And so it's just this, I'm a visual person,
that's a good
so
visual,
I need a holding space.
That's a good visual.
The other, this is also, some people dream. Listening to those dreams.
Yeah.
If you really remember a dream, there's probably a layer somewhere in there.
Yes.
That is where you're at. And you listen to that and stick with it for a while. You don't have to, you write it down.
Yeah.
And then see, you know, that's
Definitely.
another way. The other thing about when you get that feeling is it moving me toward love, peace.
Yeah.
Is it moving me towards something, enjoyment? I don't have that sinking feeling. I have this other wonderful, this other feeling, even though things are hard.
Yeah.
So those are some of the
get you.
practices,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like as we practice and we work towards and all, what can get in the way? What can muffle the voice, the inner voice?
The first thing is that I think about is we live in a noisy, chaotic society.
Yes.
And try moving around your house, your apartment, even in your car for 5 minutes without any noise on. Without any radio.
Oh my gosh.
Or thing. I'm just saying it's an experiment. Even 1 minute maybe. Maybe you wait till you get, instead of turning it on right when you get in your car, maybe you wait till you're 2 streets away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Because you cannot listen when there's constant noise. I mean, that's just...
Oh, yeah.
That's just...
Definitely.
Also, we're a logic-driven society.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes there's not really, quote,
A
logic.
logic.
I feel it, and I know it.
Yeah.
Yes, but what would your neighbor think?
Oh,
What would
yeah.
so-and-so
Think about other
think?
people.
What would... We measure our decisions by outside things.
Yeah.
And that's not the inner, right? When
Yeah,
we're
and so
measuring
taking
alone by
notice.
outside, then we're not doing
In our work. Yeah. So you have to
ourselves.
take notice on like,
Yeah.
well,
So
where's
I
my
think that's a
line
part of
thinking
it.
coming from?
You know, and just getting used to it.
Yeah.
Getting used to going, you know, I really think this and I feel it. And this is best for me.
Yes. Not always considering everybody
It may not be
else.
best for somebody else. But I need to do this or I'm going to lose myself.
Right.
I've had people
I
think I
think-
don't even know it's funny because I'm watching everybody else's shows.
Yes, and I think that is really common. I mean, I think probably especially for our listener base of women, mostly, and it's just hard because society teaches you, and honestly, millennials a lot of time, it's just like you're taught to think of everybody else and then yourself. And then you feel like you're overly selfish if you're trying to do something that is best for you.
Right.
And not just, and not fully listening. And it's,
Right.
and you know, And yeah, there are times where it's like, well, what's best for me is going to be hard for somebody else right now.
Right.
But, stuff has
Right.
been hard for me too. So we need to, think of
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
You do, and it is very hard to think of yourself at times. The other thing I would think, so when you're thinking, well, this is what other people are going to think, or this,
Yeah.
yeah, but if I lose myself,
Yeah.
what do I have? And that misery is going to creep up and creep up,
Yes.
and it's going to grow.
Just like you chip away at it
Yes.
slowly.
Yeah.
And it is really hard. It can be, you can build it back.
Yeah.
But it is difficult.
Yeah. And so what if it doesn't really turn out as I thought?
Is that so bad?
No. What have I learned along the way? And what freedom did I gain?
Yeah.
By trying something different. By being,
Yeah. It takes a lot
hard.
of, I think, sometimes extra bravery for sure to like.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
There is such strength and bravery in going, this is my inner voice. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm going
And
to
I think
choose.
to like give people the extra encouragement to listen to it is, it is sacred.
Thank you.
It's right. Like it's a sacred space. Whatever you believe, your inner voice was given to
It
you.
is your very being,
Yeah.
I think. It
So
is
you
a
have to-
knowing self. It's a knowing that we are born with.
So you have to protect it,
Yeah, and sometimes you get lucky with either parents, mentor,
Yeah.
maybe a spiritual
Director
guide
or
or
whatever.
director, or growing up, maybe there was a grandparent somewhere
Yeah.
along the way that just encouraged you
Yeah.
to listen to that and know that you do have that.
Yes. And that is so powerful. I will say
yeah.
on this podcast, you have been that one for sure for me. Of just being like what you feel is right and you need to tell that to, to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think that I just it's sacred.
Yeah.
And I
Definitely.
think I remember reading something as a young parent. I mean, I wasn't that young, but you were little. Let's say that about you all these things, the challenges of raising a
Yes.
child, and the most sacred one, the most important, and the most responsibility you have is to foster their spirit
Yes.
or their spirituality, whatever, is to foster that. And I think
And their true self.
and that scared the heck out of me.
Yeah, that is the scariest part.
For sure. And I
sure.
think we have a responsibility to do that to all
Everybody,
people.
yeah. Yeah.
All people.
To help encourage everybody.
Because when you see somebody's inner spirit, there's nothing more beautiful than that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when they see it, that makes it even more
Yes. And they realize
incredible.
Yeah.
To me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have
So.
some.
I do have a little poem
I
that I
thought
found.
so.
It's called On Self-Knowledge by Kahil Gibran. And I'm just going to read a portion of it.
Okay.
And a man said, "Speak to us of self-knowledge." And he answered, saying, "Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights, but your ears thirst for the sound of your heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have already known in thought. You would touch with your fingers the naked body of your dreams. Say not, 'I have found the truth,' but rather, 'I have found a truth.' Say not, 'I have found the path of the soul.' Say rather, 'I have met the soul walking upon my path.' For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals."
I love that one.
Isn't that great? It'll be on our website too. And I just think there is this unfolding, and there is this knowledge that yourself knows.
Yes.
And the rest of you wants
And
to.
and I feel like that can be reassuring.
Yes.
It's like no matter what path you're on right now, no matter like you can find it, it will find you.
Yeah.
In whatever path you're on in life. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
It is
reassuring.
there.
I
Yeah.
like it. Oh my gosh.
Good.
So that is our conclusion of our voice month.
Voice.
If you have any thoughts on this, or if you want or if you want to know, if you have questions about crucial conversations as they come across or whatever, please, you can, DM us on Instagram. You can send us an email, incompleteguide@gmail.com. Go to our website, all of the good stuff. It's so great to have you guys listening with us.
It is.
We will have a theme for October. I'll probably post that on Instagram. We're coming up with it now.
And then in November, our theme is going to start hitting on the holiday stuff.
Yes.
Fun and difficult.
Yes. All of that.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We look forward to, sharing that all with you guys.
Yeah. And we look forward to next Tuesday when we take a breath and take a listen.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey. We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.